So Cam Newton has been released. Hello, everyone. It's Mike Hrynyshyn from Blue Chip Scouting. I'm joined by Ian Cummings of Pro Football Network. The title says it all. Cam Newton went from projected game one starter to released in a matter of about 3 days. So we're going to basically give some instant reactions to that, talk about where both the team and Cam go next. This is a bit of a shock. I mean, there are reasons, and we can get into that. But, Ian, what was your initial reaction when the news came out about half an hour ago?
Yeah, I think it's been like an hour and a half by now. It's been a little bit, but it feels like it just happened because we're still having so much trouble processing it, I didn't expect it. I'll tell you that right now. Like, woke up today, Twitter, Cam Newton got released, and I was like, wait, what? Are you serious? Like, I could see Mac Jones beating him out, but I did not see him getting released outright. That was a big shock to me. On one hand, though, you think about it a little bit more, and it's not super surprising because there have been talks that there was some discontent with Newton in the locker room regarding his, COVID violation, missing 5 days. People were kind of on him about that. Not having that guaranteed availability as a quarterback is a pretty big deal in the season. So I think that kind of drove a wedge between him and the Patriots. But at the same time, Mac Jones was playing pretty well in the preseason. So I think those two factors combined kind of work toward that. I never would have expected him to be released outright, though, because he's a good leader. He's a good locker room guy. Mm-hmm. You have him in there, behind Mac Jones just to help and provide that veteran presence. Releasing him outright, they still have Brian Hoyer to provide that presence, but It's Brian Hoyer. I would feel much more comfortable with Cam Newton as my safety blanket than Brian Hoyer. So I don't know, man. To me, it seems like that there was a wedge between him and the Patriots from that whole COVID violation thing. And I think while that wasn't the only factor, it was probably a pretty big one.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, shocking. We all saw what unfolded last year with Cam. We were sitting in August and he was unsigned. And then signed for like $1.1 million, which was ludicrous. He honestly played okay last year. He gets dunked on a lot by Twitter, but he did play okay.
And the situation too. The COVID impacted offseason. He didn't really have much time to learn the offense. And
he got COVID.
Exactly. Yeah. So all that, man, you can't really fault him for last season. Now this season, he got COVID. If I got COVID, and the protocols demand that you kind of need the vaccine so you can get back quicker if you do get it. I feel like the situation, he should have gotten the vaccine so he'd have that availability. And I don't know, man, it just something didn't track there, and that led to him kind of losing some favor in the coaching staff.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I heard it talked about by Brentley Weissman of the Draft Network on the Read Option podcast last week, where, when you watch the preseason, everyone kind of came to terms with the fact that as much as draft Twitter may hate it, Mac Jones was probably going to be the week one starter. And you can make all the jokes you want about Mac Jones. You can make fun of the Patriots commentators all you want because of just how homeristic they were through the entire preseason. Yeah. But Mac Jones did honestly play okay. Now, was he the greatest thing since sliced bread? No, but the Patriots want to get back to playing their style of football. Mm-hmm. And last year we saw the Patriots change their offensive game plan to fit what Cam likes. More QB powers, more QB draw plays, less actual having, to do multiple reads, just quick decision making, maximize what he does well, minimize what he doesn't do well. Mm-hmm. And this year, if you watch the preseason, all of that was gone. It's like they pulled him aside and went, great, we did that favor for you last year. Now you run our offense. And Cam didn't really feel as comfortable, it seems, when you watched and what he had to do in that traditional Patriots offense, whereas that's what Mac Jones has been doing for 2 years at Alabama. Mm-hmm. So you got the sense that there was going to be that, and I've seen it floated around a lot that you have Mac Jones who's going to be your week one starter, and if Mac plays poorly, you have a former MVP as his backup, and there's going to be calls to put in the former MVP if Mac struggles. And you can't have that with a young quarterback, especially, a quarterback that, frankly, is not good like Mac Jones was. He did fine in the preseason, but it's the preseason. The 0-16 Browns went 4-0 in the preseason. Do with that what you will. So just because a player does well in the preseason doesn't mean it's going to translate into the regular season. Just like if a player has a poor preseason doesn't mean it's going to translate into an awful regular season. It's people were horrible with Mike Florio on this, but it is a bit more of like a glorified scrimmage, and especially with teams having vastly different ways of handling the preseason this year. Some teams like had starters, for far longer than others, and then other teams barely had their starters hit the field. So there's a lot up in the air, but there's a more secure environment for Mac, knowing that he is the guy when it's Jarrett Stidham and Brian Hoyer as your backups than Cam Newton.
Yeah, for sure. And like preseason, definitely, I definitely agree with you there. The, perception around preseason, Mac Jones tore it up. He really did. But again, like you said, not always playing against starters, and it is preseason. So these quarterbacks, this is a small snippet in their careers. And like people would dog on Trevor Lawrence for a bad day, but it's a bad day. You're going to have a lot of ups and downs as a rookie quarterback. And preseason is just one of these steps on the path, to eventually becoming a viable starter. So, I do think that we can't conflate the importance of preseason with how accurate it is judging these guys as success. Like Trinity Benson, he wouldn't get traded to the Lions without preseason, without this opportunity. So for those roster fringe guys who are trying to earn a place, it is important, but at the same time, we can't accurately judge where a rookie quarterback is at because of preseason. Because once that regular season hits, you have a week against a tough defense, you throw 3 interceptions and bam, everyone's calling for your head again. But it's a long process, and we can't take a snippet and judge the entire thing off of that. But going back to your point about Cam Newton and the offense, I do think that the traditional Patriots offense, like you said, is much more catered toward Mac Jones as opposed to Cam Newton. And definitely looking at what they did this offseason, I still don't love the weapons that they have, but
I don't like it at all. I still don't like it. I don't think this team's going to be good.
Yeah, I do think it's a decent situation for Jones because the offensive line is good and because you did add a few weapons. Again, I don't love it, but you did get Hunter Henry, Jonnu Smith, Kendrick Bourne, Nelson Aguilar. So, guys who can at least be serviceable. They definitely need to invest more in the years to come, but I don't think the cupboard is bare. You look at that, that's really all you can ask for Mac Jones. I think there's going to be ups and downs, but having a stable offensive line to protect him, that's a big thing because that was why I had him as QB5 below everyone else. Because in the modern NFL, you need to do more. You need to be able to do more. And Trey Lance, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, Zach Wilson, they can all do more to varying degrees. Mac Jones can't. He's more of a pocket passer. That's okay. You can succeed. You need the right situation to do that. And the offense is catered to him. The offensive line is good. Not a great unit, but good enough, I think, to provide him with some stability. And the receiving core, well, not very good either, is at least kind of, I think, at that baseline level. So, the cupboard isn't bare. He's going to be working with a little bit. But again, he's a rookie, so you got to take him along slowly. It's going to take time. There's going to be ups. There's going to be downs. The key thing is not making definitive statements off of those ups and downs.
Exactly.
See the whole thing through, see the entire season through. We'll review it after week 17, week 18, and we'll see what the deal is. But I do think it's a long process, and people like to jump to confirmation bias. That's just not how it works. So
that's how preseason. That's all the preseason's there for. You didn't know that?
I didn't know that, man. I didn't get the memo apparently.
But no, I think another thing that just hit me while we were talking about this is I think last year bringing in Cam was still the Patriots trying to cling to potentially making the playoffs.
Yeah,
and that didn't work. And now, they have weapons, but Hunter Henry was available for a reason. Jonnu Smith was the surprising one, and why they signed them to identical contracts, I still don't understand. But the weapons there don't signify a playoff team. And Mac Jones does not signify a playoff team because Mac Jones is signifying for we're building so that in year 2, year 3, year 4 even, then we're a playoff team. So it's sacrificing having Cam Newton on the roster and pretending that we're going to be something, in the AFC East this year. We're not going to be something. We're going to go 4-13, 5-12. I hate the 17-game season so much.
I'm never going to get used to that, man.
Because it's an odd number. Why have an odd number of games? It makes no sense, and I hate it. But go 5-12 and come back next year with probably a pick that's going to be in the top 10, top 12. It's a pretty good class. You can maybe fix some of those holes you have on defense as well. John Ledyard was saying, guys like Jawan Williams are still, in that this is your 3rd year, he's playing safety and corner. This is a good class at both of those positions. And if you bottom out, you can easily replace Jawan Williams this year. So, set yourself up for future success. Well, kind of taking a punt on this year, which is weird because it's Belichick, and I never thought I'd live to see the day where Belichick's punting on a season.
Yeah, and like I do think that they'll be competitive in a lot of games. Don't get me wrong. I don't think
they're not going to roll over,
especially with the Bills and the Dolphins in that division. I do not think they're going to be a playoff team, but I do think the supporting, like you talk about, it's kind of a gradient. You know, this kind of hierarchy of teams in the NFL. You know, some teams are really good. You have your good teams. It's a gradient, right? I think the Patriots, they're not that bottom feeder where if you put a rookie quarterback in that situation, you risk ruining him. I don't think they're that bad. They're not even close to that bad. They're good enough to support a rookie quarterback's development. And with Mac Jones getting his opportunity, that's really all you can ask for, right? I mean, you might not be competitive, but as long as Mac Jones takes those progressions, takes those steps, you know, you're looking at trending up into year 2 of his career. You get more talent in the offseason, and that can help catalyze even further growth. So I do think, you know, we shouldn't rush to say, oh, he's the next great thing. He's the promised guy. You know, it's not.
Alabama Twitter is going to be insufferable today because where did Cam go to school?
Auburn, man. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
I already saw
that's gonna be rough.
I already saw tweets and I hated it. I just
another thing. I hate when people say, you know, he's the next Tom Brady. We can't do that. We can't do that. We can't do that, right? Okay. Everyone likes to say, you know, he reminds me a little bit of Tom Brady. No, stop. Tom Brady is on a tier of his own. Okay. But
it's kind of like when we get to draft season and we want to find the next Dak Prescott, that quarterback that's going to be a star quarterback that you can get in round 4. That doesn't exist because in a normal situation, Dak goes in round 2. He got arrested for a DUI before the draft, which is why he fell. All right. And if we know he's going to be a star, he's not going to make it to round 4. These stupid things that we see in media. I mean, we saw the whole is Zach Martin overrated or underrated this weekend as well. That was rough.
Oh, God. That was painful. That was painful.
Yeah. Like, but back to Cam, like we talked about where the Patriots go. Where does Cam go from here? I mean, he's still relatively young. If I remember, I think he's 32 or 33, which in the grand scheme of things is not that old. He's still younger than Brandon Weeden.
That's not saying much, though.
That's not saying much because Brandon Weeden, I think, was 29 when he was drafted.
Yeah.
But, like, he's still relatively young. Now, granted, his body has taken a beating over the years, especially with the way that he was used in Carolina. He was used the same way he was in college. Cam has not really developed as much as a passer as we like to think he has. His best, style of offense is exactly what was run in Carolina and exactly what was run at Auburn, where he can pull it down and run. And Cam, because he's 250, is going to want to lower the shoulder and not really protect himself, which is why he's had shoulder issues. I think he's had wrist issues or ankle issues or something as well. It's his throwing shoulder too. So he's not exactly, in pristine condition. At this point, he's kind of being packed together with duct tape. So like, I think it's safe to say his days as a starting quarterback are probably close to finish, if not entirely finished. But is there a situation in the NFL where you can see him coming in as a backup or a mentor to a young quarterback, or as an emergency? Oh shit, our quarterback got hurt and we have Nick Mullins as our emergency starter. Like, I don't even know where Nick Mullins is. I know he was on the Eagles.
He got cut. He got
cut by the Eagles, but I think he just signed somewhere. I want to say Cleveland. Like, if Baker Mayfield goes down, like, for the sake of argument, I don't know how he would fit in that system. Probably not all that well. But, like, is there a team that you think would make more sense for Cam at this point?
I don't know, man. I'm thinking about it, and there's not a team that really stands out to me as a great fit.
No.
Honestly. Yeah, like I know Dalton, we were on PFN Daily, Dalton was talking about it, and he did a piece for Pro Football Network where I think he outlined 3 teams, and one of those was the Steelers because, Ben, again, I don't think he's a great fit for that offense, but Ben Roethlisberger.
No, because they do a lot of deep throws, and
exactly.
It's a lot of improvisation, but it's not.
The main thing with that offense is just the lack of established quarterback talent, because Ben Roethlisberger is clearly they should have gotten his successor 2 years ago, and they've kind of pushed that off way too long. Dwayne Haskins, probably not the long-term guy, although, you never know, but I don't think he's consistent enough at this point. Mason Rudolph. Yeah, no, it's not. And, Washington, too, is another one that people like to bring up a lot.
I can see that, because it would also be Ron Rivera.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, people bring that up a lot, that pre-existing experience that they have with one another. But here's the thing, though. Ron Rivera was very outspoken this offseason about COVID, and getting
also true.
Yeah, and he's immunocompromised because he had cancer last year. He went through a lot of testing, and so he's immunocompromised. And so he's talking about like, hey, for me, for your teammates, get vaccinated. And he was really not happy with Washington lagging behind with vaccination rates. So Cam Newton refusing to get vaccinated and willing to risk his job over that, I'm not so sure that's going to fly with Ron Rivera, even with the pre-existing experience that they do have. So I think that Rivera is probably going to stick with who he's been comfortable with over the offseason, Ryan Fitzpatrick. And, that's not great. You don't want to hear that. But
no,
I do think that, at this point, Cam Newton, the vaccination thing, and then on top of that, inserting him into the offense way too quickly, way too close to the regular season, and kind of inserting that uncertainty. I'm not sure that that's what they go for. There are a few other teams that jump out to me a little bit. Like,
just came to mind for me because
maybe
Lamar Jackson and you mentioned COVID vaccinations. I mean, it'd be a perfect fit in Baltimore because Lamar Jackson's had it twice and still won't get vaccinated.
Yeah, exactly. And who's their backup? Trace McSorley, right? So.
Oh
yeah, I don't feel good about that at all. So
no.
that's one I could see is Baltimore, and the offense is a little bit more catered to Cam Newton, its running ability. But again, I don't see one that really jumps out. Here's the thing: he's not going to start. He's not going to start. Whoever brings him on is going to be as a backup and as security, and that's fine. But Cam Newton's going to have to accept that. The only place he was going to start was New England, and he kind of lost that when he kind of lost the favor of the coaching staff. So. We'll see. I don't think it's Washington, though. I think, to me, Baltimore, you brought it up. Baltimore makes a lot of sense. I would say the 49ers, but they have Jimmy G. They don't need. They have Jimmy G. Exactly. They have a good backup already. So I'm not.
And one thing that just came to me, if I just had the top quarterbacks that were selected for like that 3-year stretch, what a snake bitten group of quarterbacks. Sam Darnold, first overall in 2010. Cam Newton, first overall in 2011. Andrew Luck, first overall in 2012. And second overall is RG3. And none of them are still in the league.
Yeah. Yeah, it's especially Andrew Luck and RG3, man. I mean, those guys, they were so talented too. RG3's rookie year was insane, man. And then the knee injury, locker room dysfunction, that was tough. Andrew Luck too, because if he was still healthy right now, he'd still be a top 5 quarterback.
And the thing is, none of those guys I just mentioned are overly old. Like Cam and Bradford are 32 or 33. Luck is 32 and RG3 is 31.
Yeah, I assumed you were talking about Bradford. You said Darnold. I was like, oh,
did I say Darnold?
Yeah, you said Darnold. I was like, he probably means Bradford. I mean
Bradford because Darnold's younger than me.
Yeah.
But like, just think about that. Like, these are quarterbacks that were taken at the top of the last decade, and they're all, because their bodies gave out on them.
Yeah.
All out of the league. And who knows, maybe Cam finds a spot. If not, I'm sorry. I think one of the best things Cam could do is to be a college football or NFL analyst. Because he can get paid.
Analyst,
he can get paid a lot and then not have to put his body at risk.
Yeah, and like you think about all the wear and tear he's taken to this point, man. I mean, just throw the towel, man. Honestly, you're gonna be walking when you're 45 years old, and it's gonna be painful. I mean, honestly, cut your losses. And like you said, he's not super old for a quarterback. Traditionally, you think about their peak, like a lot of these guys, like Kirk Cousins and Matt Ryan and Matt Stafford, they're in their mid to early to mid 30s, and they're still going strong. But Cam Newton's a different style quarterback. His body has taken a lot of wear with him as a rushing threat, and he doesn't really preserve himself as a runner. So that's kind of added a little bit to it. So. Honestly, if I'm him, I'm definitely mulling over retirement a little bit, but I think Cam's going to try and look for a place.
He's going to try. I think he's going to try at least one more year.
Yeah, exactly. Here's the
thing. However, I think this would be the year to strike while the iron's hot, because I don't think that Urban Meyer is going to be in the league for long. So he's going to want to go run back and get like $12 million a year from Fox to be an analyst. Yeah, whereas honestly, I would rather take that $12 million and give it to Cam to be an analyst, because I just think that would be more entertaining.
Yeah, honestly, he brings energy, man. He brings energy.
Oh yeah, he'd be a hell of a pregame analyst. Yeah. But I don't know, man. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we bounce on out of here? I mean, we kind of went over everything. I got nothing.
We could talk about draft, but no, I mean, because my mind is bustling with draft all the time.
Oh yeah, college
save
football's back, baby.
It is back, man. I'm so excited for this weekend. I was excited for last weekend. Only 5 FBS games. Still tweeting about
Glued
it.
to my television, watching Nebraska and
that's when
Illinois.
you know you're suffering withdrawal, man. When Nebraska and Illinois is
gets you excited.
I know that's bad. That's bad, man. But we're gonna have, I think, Georgia and Clemson is the
Georgia and Clemson.
Hey,
as the Big 12 Sun Belt guy, we got Lafayette versus Texas.
Hey, that's
gonna be a good one. That is my popcorn game this week, because that covers both my conferences. But no, we just kind of wanted to jump on quick and just kind of break down immediate reactions. As always, guys, like, comment, subscribe, follow us. Follow Blue Chip Scouting on Twitter. Ian has been so kind to put his Twitter handle in his nameplate, so you can go follow him at Ian Cummings. Ian_Cummings_9. Follow his work over at PFN. Ian, thank you so much for coming on. Till next time, guys. Everybody have a safe, great day.